Hi everyone, my name is Danielle Lafarga. I am a NOAA ACSESS Earth System Sciences and Remote Sensing Scholar, and I'm also a part of Sam Shen's Climate Informatics Laboratory here at SDSU. So today I'm going to present to you some of the research that I've been doing on computing 3D EOFs from the Ocean General Circulation Model. So what is the Ocean General Circulation Model, or OGCM? So it's climate data that's going to tell us ocean temperatures from 5 meters all the way down to 5,500 meters, split up into 32 layers. And that goes from the years 1950 all the way to 2003. So I'm going to first explain some of the mathematics behind this, and then I'm going to get into what it all means and why it's important. So let's construct this data matrix, and let's just think of it in terms of 2D. So thinking of it in terms of 2D is the same as just looking at one of these rows. So if we look at the first row, and let's just look at this first array here. These are the temperatures for the first layer of the year 1950. So that is the same as if I take this top layer here. That's going to be a matrix, where every single point of their matrix is going to correspond to a latitude and longitude here on the map. So if I were to flatten that out into a column array, that would be this array here. And I could do that all the way until 2003. So if I wanted to then construct a 3D matrix from this, all I would have to do is stack the layers on top of each other until I get to the 32nd layer, and I'm left with this n by y matrix here. And from this data matrix, I can then compute my anomalies, which is just subtracting the means, and I can then compute my covariance in time. Okay, so a couple of things to note about my covariance in time. This n prime here. The n prime is just going to represent the total amount of grid points that actually have data in it. See, when I first constructed the data matrix, I have data points that are land data, which is just non-numbers. So if I were to take those out, I'm left with n prime data points. And so I'm able to then define this anomalies matrix with those n prime data points, and I just multiply the transpose of that anomalies matrix by the anomalies matrix and get my covariance in time. Another thing to note is, why am I using covariance of time? Why am I not using another method like SVD? I could very well use SVD here. My data matrix is small enough for me to do that, but because we wanted to make computing 3D EOFs accessible to larger data sets, we decided to use covariance of time, which gives us this matrix that is pretty small. It's just y by y, which in our case is 54 by 54. So from this matrix, we're able to then define this eigenvalue problem here and solve for our principal components and our EOFs. EOFs are a statistical tool. They let us break down a data set to just orthogonal basis functions or eigenvectors. And they let us explore spatial patterns, and they not only let us explore those spatial patterns, but they tell us how much variance is within that spatial pattern. If that still doesn't make sense and it's kind of too much for you, think of it in terms of a story. So we have all these different characters in this story, and they all have different levels of importance to the story, and they all progress a different way in the story. They all have different characteristics. So EOFs are going to tell us how important that character is and how they're changing throughout the story. So what is our main character? That is equatorial upwelling. This is going to be the characteristic or the spatial pattern that reflects the most variance within the data. And it's characterized by this cool water here, surrounded by these warmer waters here, and these cool waters are just a little bit north of the equator. And this is a little surprising because previous 2D EOF calculations would show another main character, and that was usually Enso. But what we saw is that Enso actually came up as the second mode. Not only that, but we also saw other kinds of spatial patterns like these cool waters here that start from 50 meters all the way down to 300 meters here. So 3D EOFs allowed us the opportunity to explore other spatial patterns that 2D EOFs just wouldn't have. And that was part of the main motivation behind this research here. But another motivation is actually my current project, reconstructing climate data. So I am using the 3D EOFs that I computed along with the World Ocean Atlas data from NOAA. That's really sparse, and I'm using the 3D EOFs to reconstruct data, fill in those gaps of the sparse WOA data. Okay, so if anything of what I said today sounded interesting, please feel free to have a conversation with me at my poster presentation. Thank you guys so much.